Heavy metal rock.
Myglobalmind.
So I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on My Global Mind, I'm speaking with Jordan Rudess of Dream Theater fame about his upcoming 18-date solo tour. Welcome, Jordan, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Nice to be here with you, Robert.
Yeah. So first and foremost, congrats on winning the Grammy for the Dream Theater Best Metal Performance for The Alien.
Thanks. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. You know, it's, I guess, in a way, a long time coming. And very satisfying. I mean, a song in 17/8 time, winning the Grammy is pretty unusual, pretty cool. So yeah, we're riding pretty high on that. It's great.
I saw that John posted a picture of him with his Grammy. Did you receive your Grammy also?
I did. Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about posting a picture with it as well, but then I thought, you know, at some point when I have time, there's probably something that would be more in line with my creativity that I could do with it.
Okay, no, that would be great to see. If you were home, I was going to ask you to see it, to check it out.
Yeah. I don't travel with it, but it's a little heavy.
I just have to have it right here.
It'd be fun if I did travel with it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
like just play it at concerts, put it on the piano. Like.
Do for interviews, it would be in front of you on every single interview.
Right. Everywhere I appear, every concert, every interview. That's actually a very, very funny. That's kind of related to the creative idea I had, which I haven't had time to do yet. But anyway,
right.
Let that one go.
Cool, man. Well, you're quite the accomplished keyboardist and really a tremendous guitar player. Really great stuff. You know, I've been watching some of your videos and things like that. What you're doing is pretty incredible. How long have you been playing guitar?
All right, so I've been playing guitar like on and off for, you know, since I even started to play the piano. But the difference is with the guitar, I maybe played 2 or 3 days a year until this year. Literally, I would pick it up. I'd have a natural kind of thing going, but I never really play. So this last year, I took a look at some of the guitars around me and I thought, I didn't really get good at this. Like I should just, I don't know, I got from wherever, got the inspiration to actually focus on it. And starting about 8 months ago, I've been literally playing and practicing every day.
One video I saw you were going above the neck, which is, you know, I still struggle with that. And you must have like a God-given ability. You know, you were playing like this and doing the hammer-ons.
Yeah, the hammer-on thing, I feel like, well, first of all, I'm like an open book when it comes to, you know, learning the guitar. And I've got so many great friends and new people that I've met that are showing me all the different techniques, hybrid, economy picking, tapping, I'm like, you know, my attitude is like, show me. I want to learn it all. And then maybe after I try it all, I'll kind of, you know, my style will congeal to something, you know.
Right.
But the tapping is something that I feel like is really kind of almost like natural for me to do because I have such a developed right hand from keyboard playing.
Yeah.
Granted, the mechanics of playing a guitar are very different than a keyboard. Excuse me, especially when you think about things like pulling off. Are you a guitar player?
Yes.
Yeah, so you know.
Not like you.
but one thing is like, you know, tapping the strings when you're just pressing them, but the other is the other way when you're like playing legato and not picking. That's an entirely different thing.
Yeah. So,
you know, I'm sitting, learning, practicing the mechanics, which are, you know, really challenging, and just take time. There's no. What's interesting to me, and it's a reminder, there's no avoiding learning the mechanics of an instrument if you want to play something well. I mean, yeah, there's God-given talent. There's people who might have more coordination or whatever, but everybody has to learn the mechanics. And if you don't really practice, no matter how much talent you're not going to be like one of the best. You're not going to be that good. It's about the shedding. It's, ask any, famous, great virtuoso in any instrument. It's about sitting there and actually doing it. A lot of times when people watch musicians, they think it's just magic. And in a way, but in a way it's not,
They don't see the 8 hours a day behind the scenes of practicing nonstop every day,
Yeah. The drive that a lot of these guys, have, the Petrucci's and Manginis and, all these amazing players that spent countless hours just doing that. Yeah.
Back in the day, I used to be in a cover band back in the 80s, and it would take me 8 hours of practicing every day just to learn those songs and to play them. And I think I was average. Looking back, I was probably just an average guitar player. Now everything is advanced so far. People are so incredible. It's mind-boggling how good
it is. Great. That I'm moving a little bit. That it is crazy to see what's going on in the guitar world. I mean, everywhere you look, there's somebody who is a great player, and it's almost like an evolution, from like from the beginning. But then you look back at like the Clapton, Hendrix days and all that, and kind of see how players kind of up their technical abilities and their skill into what it's become today. Even from when John Petrucci hit the scene, and everybody was like, "Oh my God!" And now he's looking at people going, "Oh my God!"
Oh wow.
Because they studied all his lessons, his DVD course or whatever it is, and they're playing the Rock Band video games and they're doing all this stuff. It's kind of like the technology is just upping the level. So everywhere you look, and also the other thing I've been obviously thinking about this since I've been focusing more on the guitar these days, but it's kind of like in a rock band, the lead instrument 98% of the time is a guitar. So it kind of forces guitarists to be, really good to present in their bands, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have some more guitar questions for you in a little bit, but I wanted to talk to you about your solo tour. The press release was quite intriguing. Are you going to be going it alone, or are you going to have a backup band for the solo tour?
No, I'm on it right now. I just came out for a run of about 9 shows or something like that, and then a little break and then more. But it's totally solo. It's in kind of an evening with me, and at this point, it's really really fun because I'm doing a lot of different things on the stage. Everything from playing the piano to, if the vocal gods are with me, I sing a couple songs. There's a little bit of guitar playing that I'm putting into the show as well. I'm doing kind of like a demo, let's call it a demo / performance with like a virtual duets with some of my favorite singers.
Wow.
Using some technology called Moises, MOISES, which is this amazing track separation technology that you get on your iPhone or your Android device or anything like that. So I'm doing a little thing with John Anderson and Greg Lake and Elton John as a little segment of the show. And then I'm also performing on my GeoShred app, which is my iOS instrument GeoShred.
Yeah.
So I'm moving around a little bit, just doing some different stuff, and it's really fun.
How about what was I going to say? How about, are you going to be doing any storytelling? I think I've watched a lot of your videos. You're a pretty good storyteller and providing insights into the history of songs.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's really natural and fun for me to kind of take people on the journey, especially since I'm doing so many different things. So if I go into like a Moises, sequence, I'll tell people how, why, what it is, and this might kind of weave my little story, and certainly with the guitar and all the different elements. I enjoy sharing with people how I got there, how it came about, and the path that I've been on.
Yeah, you're going to be playing at the New York City Winery. I'm going to try and come out there, and it's a great venue for exactly for that. A one-man show doing storytelling, and it's really set up for that. You're going to really enjoy it there if you haven't been there already.
I played there a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I loved it, but it is a great venue and it's perfect.
Yeah.
The only thing with the New York show, and I think it's been fixed for this show, is they have a nice Steinway piano there. When I got there last time, a piano has 3 pedals: the sustain, the sostenuto, and the soft pedal. The middle pedal was disconnected. So Some pianists go their whole lives without ever touching it, but not me. I use it. So I was like, wait a minute, what? You have a piano without a middle? It's there, but it's disconnected. And I'm not a technician. So actually, we got on the phone with them recently. We said, we're coming back. You got to have that pedal fixed.
Yeah.
For those people who don't know what it does, it's like you can play a note you can play something on the keyboard, like we'll play a low octave, press that middle pedal, and then only that note will sustain no matter what else you do. Everything else can be short. So I can play like a low D, hold it with the middle sostenuto pedal, and then play different chords over it.
Okay.
Which is cool because you can get like an E over a D, a C over a D, and be pedaling normally while that D is holding. So for me, it makes, especially as a prog guy, because that was that kind of like idea of different chords over a single bass is a very like Tony Banks kind of school of harmonic thought, which I grew up with as well.
Did you find out the pedal wasn't working during the performance or during the sound check?
I found out at the sound check, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole game changer, I can imagine, for you.
I'm like, what a bummer.
At least you did the sound check. Some people don't do sound checks and they find out it.
Oh, right. No, I definitely like to do sound checks.
Yeah. How about any Dream Theater songs? You going to be performing anything like that on the tour?
Well, I'm doing, so in the Dream Theater category of our conversation and performance, I put together with the help of Aaron Boschbu. Aaron is the young protege of mine who conducted Breaking the Fourth Wall and also orchestrated Explorations, which is my concerto piece that I recorded. Anyway, so he and I put together in the last weeks of the last Dream Theater European tour, a 15-minute Dream Theater instrumental medley.
Wow.
So it's a big kind of complex, if you will, piece in the sense that it's calling upon a lot of the, great sections of the Dream Theater catalog of music. And it's all new. So for a Dream Theater fan, it's a field day because it just got a little octavarium, little Presence of Enemies, a little overture, a little this, 6 degrees, and it just nicely weaved. So it's challenging to play. And it's a definite, I think it's a big offering for anybody who's, into Dream Theater.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. That really does. I have to wonder too, we talked a little bit about the guitar. Will you ever get to the point in Dream Theater where you're playing with John guitar and possibly shredding on stage or on vinyl?
Yeah. I don't think John Petrucci needs another guitar player in Dream Theater. He never had one in all the
I agree,
years. Okay, so if I'm getting good, that's wonderful, but John Petrucci is a god of guitar, and I've been practicing for 8 months. So I understand why people think that. Of course they do, and it makes sense. And, maybe whatever, I don't know, but it's not my goal. It's not really my thinking. I don't think it's even fair to John to be thinking like that master of guitar, his keyboardist, playing for 8 months and saying, okay, let's next album we're going to be playing dual guitars. Like, I don't see it. It's not that important to me. But what would be really cool, and what will happen, is that on my next recording, my next rock album, which I'm planning to do in the next Dream Theater break, probably in the fall, is to play some guitar, because why not? Because I feel like a point where I can play things I write, and it would be really a great challenge and really satisfying to do that. So I think as far as hearing me play on recording, I think that's probably where you'll hear that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd like to check that out. Tell me a little bit about who are some of your guitar heroes? Maybe some people that inspired you to play guitar way back, and now who inspired you to pick it back up?
Well, I've got, there's so many great players. I mean, certainly like Steve Vai, incredible guitarist, musician, is always inspired by what he does. Going back further, though, I was always a huge Jimi Hendrix fan. Just loved his way of kind of controlling the beast, if you will. Just, amazing. Alan Holdsworth, great. Eddie Van Halen. I don't know, even all the guys that, really played well.
I love Eddie too. Yeah, he's definitely missed, He was one of the influences. Kiss was one of my influences, and Eddie Van Halen was another.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool.
So I enjoyed that. I'm not nowhere near as good as you. I'm still a hack on it, but yeah. Your last few solo shows, and then you head right to Indonesia for a Dream Theater show. Tell
Right.
me about the dichotomy of performing these solo intimate in these intimate settings, and then all of a sudden you're on stage with the spectacle lighting and the big stage and, you know, all the special effects. Tell me about that dichotomy, one day here and then one day there.
It's a totally different thing. I mean, we do these solo shows, it's myself and Danielle, my wife, who's also the tour manager of the solo shows, and we're just floating around doing our thing. And I'll go in, you know, for the sound check because I got to set up, especially now when I have all these little, you know, I'm setting up an audio interface, I'm setting up my guitar, I'm just putting iPad around, and I'm not traveling with the tech, you know, to do that. And one of the first differences is, you know, when I'm with Dream, I walk on the stage, I don't even see the stage sometimes before the performance, which I like in Dream Theater. And, you know, in a way, I wish I could have that in the solo world, but it's not that, you know, it's just me. So it's really kind of like mellow. And if I walk into a venue that has decent help, then it's just fine. I kind of almost like just buttering around, connecting everything. But it's, you know, there's so many things that are so different about it. One thing that's really very strongly different is the like volume levels, like just the energy / volume. It's like, you know, we're wearing in-ear monitors. It's really loud in the room, and that alone makes for a very different kind of experience, because what I find is that it's harder, even though it can be amazing, you know, it's almost like, you know, reaching these intense highs of energy.
Yeah.
The part that's so different, and I kind of almost like better in the solo show, is I'm not wearing anything in my ears. The volume is controllable, and I have this direct, almost like connection between the physical energy I'm doing and what I'm hearing. Right? When the whole band, when you've got the drums like killing it, the guitar as big as this hotel, and, you know, the sound is so loud, it's a little harder to get that kind of personal balance between the energy that you're putting out. Since I'm so sensitive about the way I'm hitting the keyboard, it's a little harder to feel that connection and know how much energy is going out versus what's really happening. But in the solo, I don't know if that makes sense, but in the solo thing, it's very like naturally organic, and I like that. I find that I can play my whole solo show and my hands at the end will feel really good. Sometimes with a Dream Theater show, depending on what's going on, the sound, the audience, the whole thing, I might be like, get off the stage and go, wow, my hands don't feel great. So maybe I was hitting too hard and didn't even realize it. Cool. So that's
you probably also have more flexibility solo to, I don't want to do this song, I want to change this song, I'm not in the mood for this, or I don't think this is going over well, let's change it around, right?
And yeah, exactly. And as an improviser, I'm always doing that and saying, no, I don't like playing that. I think I'll sing tonight. So I go to a song and I sing that, or, you know, and I just decide that I think I'll change this part up. And, you know, I mean, improvisation is a big part of who I am. And that's not something that happens at the Dream Theater stage. Really. I mean, maybe I can comp things differently, and you wouldn't necessarily know so much, some of it, or maybe I'll do some voice leading, you know, one night. I do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably improvising the most of anybody on the stage, but maybe it's the end result is a little more subtle because the way the keyboard is fitting in the mix. But when I'm alone, like one thing, I usually come on the stage and the first piece I play is a total improvisation right off the top of my head. Wow. And I do it because I walk out, you know, I feel what I feel. I'm excited, I'm relaxed, I'm whatever I am. And I look at the audience and I sit down, I take a second to just kind of take a deep breath. And then I put my hands on the keys and I let whatever, you know, for the next, whatever it is, 2-3 minutes, I just let whatever music comes out of me come out that I feel. Sometimes that's my favorite part of the whole show. Yeah. You know, I just get to play whatever I want at that moment. So it's almost like my own reflection of the moment. There's a part of me that wishes I could just go out and just improvise the whole night, because I could, but and I improvise all the time at home. But you know, then there's the other part. It's kind of like, you know, people like hearing, you know, things they know, and I'm kind of like a little bit torn between that. And then I always kind of been falling back on, okay, I'll play some songs, you know, whatever.
I would find that personally nerve-wracking because I'm a big guy who prepares. So to go out and improvise the whole night, it'd be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, but that's kind of one of the things I do. So, I mean, it would be a challenge as well, but it is something that would be a welcome challenge. One day, maybe I'll do that.
That's cool. That's cool. You know, one thing that's always impressed me about Dream Theater is that you guys have the ability to always put out solo albums when you want. You know, and I spoke with James a little while ago for his. I've spoken for John for his, yours today. You know, we're talking about your solo tour.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys openly discussed when you joined the band and said, listen, I like to do this stuff and it's okay to do it? Because if you remember when we were kids, David Lee Roth tried to put together a solo thing and, you know, you get fired. If Kiss puts together solo albums, they're getting fired. You know, so it's kind of interesting to hear you guys have that flexibility and giving fans more enjoyment of what you like and what you're focused on. So tell me about that decision.
For sure. I mean, I feel like, especially these days, there's a real openness between all of us. We know that we have other sides of what we do. You know, as great as Dream Theater is and as wide as it is stylistically, there's still, everybody has more that they want to offer. And I think that's really respected among all of us. I think in the old days, like you're looking more towards the beginning times of me in the group, I felt a little more maybe funny about it, or it's more like, wow, is this going to be okay? Or, but somehow, maybe it's also the state of kind of like the music business and everybody kind of realizing that, wow, this is a really tough business. You got to do what you got to do. And, you know, kind of like supporting each other from that point of view opened up things even more. I mean, even in the old days, I could put out solo music, but here and there were little moments of like, you know, maybe it's not cool that this person's doing whatever it was or this or that. Never enough to stop anything, but there were a little, you know, almost like certain people, whatever, playing with the idea that maybe certain things weren't cool. And I'm speaking vaguely because I also don't remember exactly what it was.
That's fine.
But more importantly, now we've reached this wonderful spot where everybody knows that we put our energy behind Dream Theater. You know, we're going on a tour, we're coming prepared, we're working on an album, we're focused, we do it, we're hard workers, and we do it. But then when we have time, we can do our own thing.
I think it's great. I really think it's good that you guys do it. I think it's very healthy too. I want to be respectful to your time, and I have one more question for you. And I just read this, and I didn't know this about you guys. In 2002, you performed Number of the Beast live in France. One of my favorite metal albums. What is your thought to Maiden dabbling more in progressive metal these days? Because the last couple of albums have been very progressive, I thought, more than the straightforward Number of the Beast. And I was wondering if you have any opinion on that.
I missed a little bit of the question. What is my thought about what?
Yeah, no, Iron Maiden's going into more of the prog. They're dabbling more into prog lately for the last two albums, Senjutsu and Book of Souls. And I was just wondering what your thoughts, as being a prog guy all the time. What is your thought about Maiden dabbling into that?
But about Maiden dabbling into prog.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, I love prog most of all, right? So I think it's awesome. You know, that's where besides classical music, I mean, Genesis, CLP, King Crimson, all that stuff are, you know, what I really, really love. So I welcome that for sure. And it was weird for me back in the day to play keyboards on the Iron Maiden stuff. I was kind of playing second guitar parts and then filling in like leads and stuff because they do that harmony lead thing. And so we were doing that together. But what was great about that actually in the old days was that Iron Maiden and Metallica and Queensryche, those kind of bands, were so influential on the other members of Dream Theater that kind of allowed me to learn early on a little bit about stylistically what it is that they were taking, like what it is they were interested in. And then I could say, oh, you know, that comes from like an Iron, like Jump Choo play something. I go, I see. That's like an but that's like an Iron Maiden thing, but that's a Queensryche kind of. So it was interesting for me to get that background as a composer in Dream Theater. So now could I maybe offer things that were in line with that kind of thinking a little more when I thought it was appropriate, but I could also understand where they're coming from, which is
great. That's great. Great response. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, Jordan. It's a pleasure speaking with you, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope to see you on tour in New York City, and I wish you the best on the tour too.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks for your time as well. Really nice to talk to you, and we'll see you on the road.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Heavy metal rock. Global mind.